Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. This is a very important topic that we will address today is nutrition for delight and health. Nutrition for delight and health. Wow, nutrition is very important, and the word delight means that it's so delicious to eat, but then we have to be careful. We have to eat not only for the delight, but also for our health. Very, very important topic. I want to remind you that this show is being Facebook Live at AARP Arizona Hispanic Connection. I'm still asking you to help us spread the word about this show. Uh, Visit our page, follow it, and then ask your friends and family to follow it as well. We will be addressing many, many important topics this year. This is just the beginning. This is actually, let me think here, the third show that we have this year. And again, the nutrition for delight and health. We have two very, very special guests today with us. I just want to make sure that everything is working fine. It seems like it is. It seems like everything is working fine with the sound and everything. So I'm very happy about that. So let me introduce our guest today. I will remind you that starting this year, we will only be coming to you on Tuesdays from 1 to 1:30. It'll be in English. From 1:30 to 2, it will be in Spanish. In most cases, it will be the same topic, and in most cases, it will be the same guest. Except for those instances like last week where one of our guests only spoke English, so he couldn't stay with us for the Spanish segment. But today we have two bilingual guests, and to my right is Maria Silva. Maria Silva is a registered dietitian and nutritionist. Registered dietitian and nutritionist. I saw your first of all, welcome, Maria. Thank you for joining us. I saw in your title. Did you get more certifications or something? Because I think I saw more than this too.
I have a master's and then I'm a certified diabetes educator.
Okay, so I say it again because that didn't pick up.
That didn't pick up, yeah. So I have a master's and then I'm also a certified diabetes educator.
Now, is this a new thing for the masters or
I
something
just
that I
graduated
didn't
in
know?
November. No, I just graduated in November.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Wow. You know, one of the things that we do in our show is to celebrate Latino accomplishments and talk about accomplishments, right, Monica?
Oh yeah.
My second guest is Monica Diaz. Monica Diaz is also with the Family Wellness Program. She is also a registered dietitian and nutritionist, and also with both from the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Monica, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having us here today.
How do you feel about hearing that your coworker got a master's?
It's really exciting. Maria has been a big part of my growing as a dietitian and a mentor. So seeing her accomplish that makes me really motivated to pursue my master's in the future too. So
Wow, if she's kind of mentoring you and helping you, most likely you'll end up getting a master's as well.
I
would
hope so.
imagine.
I hope so.
Maybe a PhD.
Oh, why
Yes,
not?
right?
Why
Always
not?
more than the teacher.
Of course. I am so happy. I am so happy because, again, this platform has three objectives. One is to educate. The second objective is to celebrate Latino accomplishments. And the third objective is to connect Hispanics of all generations. And I believe we are doing it because we're educating. I always bring people who are very successful. They have their education already, in line, and some are pursuing PhDs, masters. So this is very, very good. And by bringing folks of different ages, we basically connect the community. So I'm very, very happy about our show.
We're excited to be here.
Yes. All right. So we will, Ulysses, do you want me to take a break or just go straight to? Okay, we're going to go straight without taking a break. So because this shows, again, are only 30 minutes. And we will continue after this show in English. We'll continue with the Spanish show. Si usted habla español únicamente, recuerde que después de este programa de inglés vamos a seguir con el de español. Me alegra mucho, me alegra mucho. I'm very, very happy to be addressing this issue. So let me just read a little bit. I tend to write some things for every show. Let me see. As our year, holiday, all kinds of celebration season just ended,
Just did.
right? It is only fitting that we address nutrition for delight and health. That's the topic today. I'm sure many of us would welcome the encouragement to retake our healthy eating, exercising routines, right? Very,
Yes,
very
yes.
happy to do that. I mean, the holidays are great, it's a time with family, but you tend to eat a lot and you tend to get off track, so to speak. So I think it's a very fitting that we address this topic early on in the year. With us today again is Maria Silva, registered dietitian and nutritionist with a certification on diabetes. Maria is the manager of the Family Wellness Program at the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. And I already introduced also Monica Diaz, who is also a registered dietitian and nutrition. I mean, there is a reason why you emphasize dietitian and nutrition, but we'll see if time allows. We'll explain
Great.
that later on. So let's come back and let me ask you some questions, right? My first question is, what's your take? What are you seeing people? Are you seeing people taking care of their health more just because it's the right thing to do, or due to illnesses?
I think we see both. I think now with the big push that we're seeing in the medical field with prevention, we see more people interested in really taking care of their health and really pushing forward and preventing disease. So I think both things are working great. And because it is the beginning of the year, I think everybody's doing it too, almost out of the New Year's resolutions that we see
Mm-hmm.
nowadays.
Right.
That hopefully people don't lose motivation over, but we're also seeing that people really interested in getting on track when it comes to their health.
Do you see the younger generations taking a more proactive approach, more so than the older generations, like my age, 50 and over?
I think I think we see almost like a balance of both.
Mm.
And the reason I think it's because sometimes the parents are really interested once something comes up with their kids.
Mm.
And then I
Mm.
think our generation, because of the way trends are moving, and we're seeing more and more with the whole sustainability movement, and being like taking care of the world, we're more of the vegetarian. We're seeing people really taking care of the things we're eating.
Right. And do you see, Monica, because you basically consult patients, right? That's your primary job, is
Yes,
to
I do
have
see patients. I also teach classes.
teach classes. Do you see that when somebody contracts a condition, a health condition, that the whole family seems to kind of cooperate with that person and kind of join that person in a routine of better or eating better and healthier?
It can really depend, but one thing that I have noticed is that if someone, for example, develops a chronic disease like diabetes, and then the family participates in these changes as well, the outcomes with these patients are so much better because they have the support from their family, and it's not just one person in the household making a change. It's we're all doing it as a family, and we're all supporting each other.
Is this something that you encourage when somebody contracts maybe diabetes? Is this something you encourage that the family gets involved with, or is something that the person has to do on their own?
Oh, definitely. We definitely encourage it. And no, even if the family just wants to participate in changes, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be because, oh, I developed diabetes.
Mm.
Now we all have to do this. Even just as a family, let's say someone is at risk for diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Then at that point, you all want to look at the family as a whole and be like, okay, what can we all do together to reduce our risk?
Right, right. So, does it come natural to eat healthy and take care of our health, or is it something that we need to work at? I mean, this is.
Because of the nature of the high palatable foods being unfortunately the not healthy ones, I'm gonna say it's something that we need to work on. It doesn't mean that when we're kids, I think we'll have pretty much what you're introduced to is what you're gonna want to eat, right? So since you're a baby, you're introduced to these healthy foods, you're more than likely inclined to do those. If you grow up eating things that are not so healthy, more of like junk food, you're inclined to that. But I think generally most of us are inclined to the more palatable foods that unfortunately tend to be the not so healthy ones.
I mean, you're very young, Monica, and you have friends. What do you notice with your generation, your friend, your circle of friends, and even family? Do you notice that people are not paying adequate attention? They're just indulging, they're just delighting in eating whatever? Or do you see some kind of pattern or changes?
Again, It depends a lot on who you are surrounding yourself with. Because, for example, like when I'm around my family, we love Mexican food, right? I'm Hispanic, so
Mm-hmm.
we eat, your traditional foods, enchiladas, salsas, sopapillas. So it's about learning how to enjoy those foods in moderation with your family. And then when you're with your friends, my friends are very, oh, let's go try this new restaurant, let's go
Mm-hmm.
eat here
Mm-hmm.
and there. So it's still being together as a family with your friends and all finding the chance to enjoy the food, but still eating it in moderation. But I would say they don't necessarily have an influence on my habits.
Hmm.
Seems
But when you go out there, do you find your friends agreeing with you, or they see you as a weird one when you go out to eat with your friends?
well, my friends are mostly all dietitians and
Oh, okay,
nutritionists, so I
okay.
think it's a
So she's
little
in a safe
biased.
space.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
But I mean,
Okay.
with my family, I think I don't think that's necessarily the case. I
Mm.
think that they see, oh, you're trying these new foods. I want to try it too. So
Hmm.
again, I just feel like it really depends who you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you for that. And Maria, I always think that large portions is a big issue because I always say that we just eat too much.
Yeah.
Let me change it. More than what our body needs.
I
I
think that's, yeah.
I am totally convinced of that. And as one who is trying to learn to eat better, I noticed that your body will tell you once you enter into that mode of eating healthy, your body will say, "All right, enough is enough." And then every once in a while, I say, "All right, but I'll have just a little bit more," right? So, how big of a problem is overeating, eating more than what we need, large portions, basically?
It's definitely a problem. And I think you brought a good point. Those, our body telling us how much we need those core called hunger cues, but we learn to dismiss them very early on
Mm.
from different reasons. One of them could be, for example, in school, we see kids having to literally like just eat their food in 20 minutes because they need to make it to their next class,
Right.
or in you were eating at work and your work is your lunch is not until I don't know 3 or 4. You're ignoring your hunger cues constantly, and that depends on demand on what exactly you're doing. So overeating is definitely a big factor, but it also is the fact on what you're eating on. When
Mm.
you're learning to eat healthy, like you're mentioning, you're really eating foods that are high in nutrition, which
Mm-hmm.
your body has sensors for that. I can tell you when you're satisfied. When you're eating things that are highly palatable, most of the time junk food, your body doesn't have those signals, those doesn't have those cues for it to tell you that you're satisfied because they're usually not high in fiber.
Mm.
They're just high in carbs, which you can unfortunately eat a lot of. And by the time you pay attention to that, you're probably overeating because also we become really fast eaters.
Yeah.
And we don't respect our body. We don't give time for our tummy to connect to our brain.
And I believe that most people, I think, are in this kind of mindset that until you feel like you're really full, then you think that's when you're supposed to stop eating. And that to me, it's a no-no because I mean, if you get into the habit of always eating until you feel that you are full, and if not, I mean, do you think a lot of people kind of have that metric, so to speak?
I think the metric really is more of external cues. We depend really on like when you finish your plate. That's when you're
I
satisfied. That's when
see.
you're full. So
I
you're really not
see.
paying attention to what your body's telling you, but more about what's externally the signals you're getting. So when you finish your plate, when this is done, when a soccer game is
Mm-hmm.
over, when the TV show is done. So you're not really paying attention to your body cues internally.
And I remember that if I had little food, then I knew I was gonna eat a lot of tortillas. If I had a lot of food, maybe beans on my plate, then I knew I didn't need to eat a lot of tortillas because I had that sense that I had to get full. So let me bring another point. We live in a society of consumption, right? And we are enticed to eating all kinds of things everywhere and things that are not necessarily good for our health. We see this on commercials and even in the way supermarkets arrange their items. How strong a role do you think advertising plays in our eating, Monica? Do you think we're influenced big time with, from advertisement, especially like TV and now social media?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think, for example, when you see these advertisements on TV for, like these foods higher in sodium, higher in fat, your body's drawn to it because you look at it, you can just see how delicious it looks, and then it also brings back memories to, oh, I had that pizza when I was with my friends. So there's also emotional ties to it. So it's a lot more than there's emotional ties and also the appetizing part of it. And then in terms of like the stores, I think, we kind of think, oh, shopping on the outskirts of stores, that's the healthiest way to shop. But if you think about it, if you hear a lot, okay, in the middle of the store, you have a lot of those unhealthy foods, and I say quotes unhealthy foods because yes, that may be the case sometimes, but you also have a lot of healthy foods like whole grains, legumes like beans and different things like that. So it's really about reaching out to your local dietitian or your community, for example, like say Vincent de Paul at the Center for Family Wellness Program, and learning, okay, what are ways that I can shop, or how can I learn to overcome these obstacles that are out of my control, like advertisements, maybe a knowledge deficit. You know, what can I do to expand my knowledge and learn more how to advocate for my own health?
Does St. Vincent de Paul, in the programs that you worked at, offer classes to the general public?
Oh, definitely. We do. We offer, right now, we're actually looking to register for our diabetes prevention program. We have two programs. We have a Spanish program and an English program. They're in the evenings.
Great, great. Let me come back to you, Maria, because I have heard you say that there are really not bad foods, but bad combinations.
Correct.
Is that something you came up with, or you read it somewhere?
I'm probably read it somewhere. One or the two.
Yeah, and I really like that because I'm more like more radical. You know, don't eat this, don't eat that, and you come across like, yes, you can eat some things that are considered not so healthy, but then do this. Can you talk to us just briefly about this matter of they're not being necessarily bad foods, but bad combinations?
So I think when we categorize things as good or bad, we tend to want to eat more of that. Or, you go into the restricting where this is the items I'm not going to have and not going to eat them. Talk about New Year's resolutions. My goal this year is to not have chocolate at all. Well, the moment you see it, you want it, right? You want, that's the more you want it. That's like the one thing you become teenagers, I guess. That's the one thing your brain thinks about. So we really think about it more like it's food. And yes, I can have a little bit of it, but I need to remember that I don't need to have all of it. So really having more of a, yes, it's okay. So a small mentality. I can have a little. I can always go for more, but it doesn't have to be today. Because, I mean, really think about it. We're not at the end of the world yet, right? We have food all the time around us.
Right, right. Talk to us a little bit about, I always have another concept as a person who is learning, right? Along with my wife and family, we are really, really learning to watch what we eat and learning. Salt and sugar are some things that I personally take very, very serious. For instance, I'm not a French fries person, but every time I have French fries, I ask them without salt. And then I do not consume only on every year, perhaps, sodas. I do not consume sodas. I think they are packed with sugar. Can you share just some concepts about sugar and salt? I mean, are those things that we need to be concerned with, and how?
Definitely. So I think we're going to go back to the point I was making earlier. The less, the better. So because really we have to think about, there's not sugar. There's sugar in sodas. There's sugar in the cereal we have for breakfast. There's sugar in the bread you eat. There's sugar in the ice cream you're having. So it's really about how much you're having and how often. Because, yeah, you may only have one soda, but if you had juice with your breakfast and you have, I don't know, like whatever kind of sugary cereal, then it really adds up quickly. So we can just be conscious of what you're eating and the sugar it has. Don't worry about how many grams, but simply, does it have it or does it not? If it has sugar, eat a little bit of it, not too much. If it has salt, again, a little bit of it, but definitely doing those tricks that you're doing, like asking for my French fries without salt, asking for my coffee with half a sugar as much as I do. So starting slowly, not going fully in.
By the way, I managed to drink my coffee now without any sugar.
Nice.
That is
you
amazing.
did it. Congrats.
I honestly, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, and now it's so normal to do it.
I love that. Then you're really tasting coffee.
Yes, and it's amazing. I believe that there's a special power in motivation. Once a person gets motivated, forget it. I mean, you can do anything.
Unstoppable. I agree.
Motivation is a superpower. We're almost out of time, Monica, but help us understand a little bit about how about that Mexican diet. There seems to be concepts, and I am one of them sometimes, that we think that the Mexican diet is what we normally see at restaurants, but the Mexican diet is way more than that. It's not as bad as sometimes we want to think. Can you just share just some concepts about that Mexican diet?
No, yeah, and like any food, like Maria was saying earlier, there really isn't good or bad foods, right?
Mm.
It's how we combine them. And
Mm.
especially with Mexican food, there's plenty of healthy carbohydrate options like beans, rice, tortillas.
Mm.
They don't have, there's no, again, no such thing as bad foods, right? If you have it in the right portions,
Mhm.
that's actually a great source of energy for your body.
This is such great information because again, I'm very radical sometimes, and I says no, no, and no. But you're telling us that basically you can have a little bit of those quote unquote unhealthy. You just have to do it in moderation, and then mix with some good, really good, rich foods. Correct?
Yeah, and I can actually expand on that. So, we always teach if you have a 9-inch plate, if you're looking at your carbohydrates, you want to aim for at least a quarter of a plate of those carbohydrates.
Mhm.
And then you want to combine it with another quarter of protein. So, if you're thinking again, Mexican food, you would aim for maybe that's beef, maybe that's chicken,
Mm.
maybe tinga, different things like that that you
Right.
could combine. So, and then the other half of your plate, you'd want to add some vegetables.
Mm.
So maybe some nopales,
Right.
repollo with like cabbage, radishes, different things like that. And there you have a very delicious Mexican dish, but also is very well balanced nutritionally and very, very healthy.
Are we making progress in Mexicans, and not only Mexicans, but the Latinos, really, really learning and starting to consume more vegetables? Have you noticed, any one of you, progress on that?
I think so, and I think it has to do a lot with the education we're getting and programs like the ones we
Mm.
offered at St. Vincent de Paul and the Monica was talking about, like the program with DPP, where people are exposing themselves to these things that they're learning and that they're not being so like all or nothing in the sense of sometimes when we think of vegetables, we think of a salad. So
Mm.
really coming here and learning there's things like nopales and chayote and other things that are considered vegetables, but that when it comes to this country, we haven't really thought about it. We've
Mm.
always thought about just salads being a vegetable.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Monica. We have come to the end of our show. This is the English part. Stay with us for the Spanish. We really hope that you enjoy the show, and we'll be back soon. Have a great day.